make sure we don't, if she has signed on late, if she's here. Okay, I have a raised hand from Theodora Scarato.
Oh, hi, great. Thank you very much. My name is, oh, can you see me?
We cannot.
Okay, how do I do that? Great, thank you. I'm Executive Director with Environmental Health Trust. I was just learned about this listening session, and we are an environmental health virtual think tank based in Jackson Hole, Wyoming and Washington, D.C. And I wanted to speak because I wanted to let you know what just happened in our community. There was the effort moving forward to have all of our meters for water be smart meters. And over the last few years, residents have been, ratepayers have been contacting the commission about the issue of radio frequency radiation. We actually ended up having Dr. David Carpenter speak. He's a scientific expert on this issue. He's been working on non-ionizing electromagnetic fields for years, and he presented. I will share with you his presentation as well as his report on the issue of the meters. Now, what ended up happening was the WSSC, one of the largest water authorities, ended up putting forward an opt-out, which we were not in favor of because we didn't actually want the entire program to move forward. I mean, I personally live here, and I certainly didn't want to have a radiation, emitting meter on my home. But then they had an opt-out with a fee waiver for people who were on a certain program. But what just happened the other day is they put a halt to the whole thing, especially amidst COVID, when they found out that it was going to cost $200 million, not just $100 million. We do believe it had to do with all of the effort to educate, the education on the issue of radio frequency radiation. Our scientists, and we also collaborate with scientists worldwide who publish on this issue of radio frequency radiation. But here's what there's been a lot of talk of impacts to humans, but what about the birds, the bees, the trees? The limits that we have do not even, they were never even designed to protect our wildlife and our natural environment. They have no opt-out. So I found it mind-blowing when I realized that limits were not even developed to protect them. At what level is this exposure toxic to a bee? At what level is it toxic to, everything we've taken for granted for so long? And yet there is extensive research showing harm to insects and bees, birds, and trees that has in peer-reviewed, published literature over the last few years. Yet there's no entity with oversight that's actually checking. And you might wonder, well, what about the EPA? I mean, wouldn't the EPA be on this issue? Well, they were. There was robust research going on until the mid-1990s, when they were completely defunded by Congress during a time when the telecommunications companies were heavily lobbying for the telecommunications, the Telecom Act. Just recently, a report was released by one of the largest German nature environmental organizations, and they found that 72 of the 83 peer-reviewed published studies found effects. We have all of this on our website, and I can share it with you. Not just impacts to insects, but there was a 9-year field study looking at trees, and they looked at trees near cell antennas. And they also measured on each side of the tree, so they knew that where there was the antenna and the tree, that there was a higher radiation on one side of the tree than the other. And they mapped the damage to the trees on the side of that was facing the antenna and had the highest radiation. And the study is entitled Radio Frequency Radiation Damages Trees. And there's actually been several reviews done by our president, Dr. Deborah Davis, on as a co-author on the impacts to plants, showing biochemical changes to plants. So it's like an onion that goes on with the amount of information and the amount of research, and there are literally thousands of studies on this issue, yet we have a complete gap in accountability at the federal level. So many, federal government officials say, well, our hands are tied. And I do not believe anyone's hands are tied. There's a lot that's happening, a lot that can be done, especially hearing about the New Hampshire recommendations, of which I presented to, as well as Dr. Davis, and submitted a lot of information to as well. But I hope that you will learn more about this issue and question everything. We just testified to Bermuda, actually. There's a lot going on there in relation to 5G, all of these new antennas that are going up for 5th generation wireless. But I really think that when it comes to utilities and into the devices on our home, that the safest action be taken. However, really, there shouldn't be wireless radio frequency emitting meters anywhere. It's not just having an opt-out, it's that they all need to be not emitting a type of radiation that's harmful to our environment. I hope you'll learn more at ehtrust.org as well. And we are the organization, one of the organizations in the federal legal action against the FCC for their limits, which were which were developed in 1996, haven't changed since, and were developed by industry groups. And there's been no update by any oversight with the public health experts to look at the issue. If you go to the FDA, it will seem like all is well. And I would encourage you to go to their website, actually, to see what's happened here, because the FDA only did a literature review discounting the National Toxicology Program study, which they themselves asked for. And our agencies have been captured, the CDC as well. You can look at their webpage. It seems like all is well. What's going on? But please, go to the National Toxicology Program. When you go to the National Toxicology Program, type in cell phones and look at what they say about the clear evidence of cancer, the DNA damage, and the research that they're doing on the issue. And then compare that to the other websites. Even the EPA, their site was completely scrubbed just last year. Everything erased that even questioned safety, even though it really wasn't that good of a site anyway in the sense of information. But I actually just wrote them with asking for what was going on with that. And it's unfortunate, but that's the situation that we're in. So we all have to get educated and hopefully make the best decision for public health. Again, please go to Environmental Health Trust for more information of what we're working on. And I thank you for taking the time to look into this issue.